The news of Operation Neptune's failure spreads far and wide. As promised, Academy City's chairman will send down volunteers to assist the JSDF. However, in a meeting, the board of directors as well as military staff and scientists are having a major problem. You didn't tell the Prime Minister that the ACDF only has over 100,000 active servicemen and women. Yeah, and they're only reserved for home defense and anywhere near Tokyo Bay. We can't just send an entire army unit down south. I get that we have a pact with the Japanese government, but even we have our own limits of what we can do. Wait, how come the Americans aren't on this? One of their own submarines got destroyed after all. I wouldn't count on it. They and NATO are too focused on the British Isles, not to mention the civil war that just erupted in Russia. Oh. Besides, even if we could send volunteers south, there's one problem that the JSDF is facing. We all know where Godzilla is, somewhere off Kyushu, and we should have an idea on when he will make landfall, but we don't know where. Unabaro takes out a remote, points at a wall, and pushes a button. A screen pops up behind Accelerator, and everyone turns their attention to it. Kagoshima, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, Miyazaki, Hyuga, Koji, he could go anywhere and we wouldn't even know it. What about the possibility that he'll bypass all of them and head north? More locations are marked on the map. That would put Osaka, Nagoya, Fuji, and even Tokyo Bay on the list of possibilities. Do you have evidence to support that? Not at the moment. Then we're in deadlock again. Two scientists in lab coats raises their hands. Dr. Kobayashi, Dr. Tanaka? Both stands up from their seats. As far as locations goes, I don't know per se. But think back to the book. It said that the kaiju was baptized by the nuclear bomb and survived. And as much as I want Godzilla's life to be preserved, I'm starting to sing a different tone from last night. So where are you getting at with this? Godzilla is infected with radiation, and he has been living with it for this long with it, right? So he's bound to stay near southern Japan, for one good reason. To resupply on radiation. The revelation gets all within the room's attention. If Godzilla's going to resupply on radiation, then there are 3 possible locations that are very close to him. She walks from the table up to the screen. She lifts up her hand and points to 2 different locations. That's the Ikata and Sendai nuclear power plants. So he'll land at either of those locations? The possibilities are high. Does anyone object? Silence fills the room. Good. I'll get in contact with the Japanese Minister of Defense. How many are we going to send down to Kyushu and Honshu? 2 battalions, 1 for each power plant. Just in case. Hang on. I have an idea. Accelerator knocks on the door. He stands and waits for someone to answer. The door opens, revealing the chief of the 177 branch office, Mai Konori, in her suit and glasses on. Oh, Accelerator! You're going to let me in or what? Oh, of course. She backs away, opening the door all the way. Walking inside with a retractable walking cane, he sees Uehara and Satin standing out from the couches. They become shocked to see the first level 5 walking into the office. He stops in front of the 2 and looks at them dead in the eyes. I never thought I would ever meet the first level 5 like this. It's kind of terrifying. You're not the first to say that, nor will she be the last. The chairman's eyes pierce to Misaka still seated on the couch, arms crossed and one leg over the other. The 2 lock eyes with each other. The girls around them can feel the intense atmosphere coming from the 2 alone. They can easily tell by their stares at one another that these 2 have had many encounters in the past. Is there a reason that you're here? Yes, actually. As promised to the Japanese government, I'm ordering 2 battalions south to Honshu and Kyushu. Really? Well, good for fucking you. At least you're doing something better than that shithead Alistair. Yeah, but that's not saying much. Tell me, how much do you hate Godzilla? At this point, more than I had hatred towards you. Understandable. And my feelings towards you were no better. Ungrateful bitch. Mikoto stands up on the couch and walks up to Accelerator. The girls around them backs away from the 2 out of fear that something may happen. Look, just get to the fucking point. What is this all about? You returning a favor to me. A favor for you? Really? What for? Accelerator looks over his shoulder at Uehara and Satin, then back to her. For taking care of all of them for you. Misaka knows what he is referring to, and not to Uehara and Satin. What do you want me to do? All I want you to do is to head south for Honshu. Misaka raises her left eyebrow. We speculate that Godzilla will land in either Kyushu or Honshu. You'll be going to the latter. She looks away from his red eyes towards the floor. Bukoto walks past him, stops, and looks over her shoulder. You know, you have an idea of what I'm like when it comes to situations like this. I'm not going to hold back. But, are you sure you want me down there? What if they found out that I died by a kaiju? Would you have the courage to explain it to them? Especially her? Let's not bring her or them into this. What? Is the third string too afraid to take that opportunity? She digs into her right pocket and feels the single coin in it. The words of McIntyre and herself echoes in her mind. I'll let you see the results for yourself. And when you do, you will know that I was right. And when you see that it does work, you will know that I was right. No, not at all. I'll do it. On one condition. I want to take my friend Uehara with me. Wait, what? Fine. Wait, don't I get a say in this? Remember Yumikawa? She'll be looking after you two. You'll be meeting her at the Tokyo station in Chiyoda. You might want to get going now. He turns and walks away towards the exit. He stops at the door and looks up. Personally, I know the risk I'm taking. But if you do die, don't expect me to come to your funeral. He grabs the door handle and exits the office. Misaka lets out a big exhale. Then she looks to her friends, who are not impressed by her. What? That was a very dumb idea. Yeah, I don't want to go. I've been wanting to try out the new Morse code machine that I got last night. You'll have time to do that when you get back. That doesn't give me much confidence. Listen, as long as you're with me and Yumikawa, everything will be fine. Okay? Okay. We should probably get going, though. Leaning against a pole in her anti-skill uniform and her long blue hair in a ponytail, PE teacher and Lieutenant Aiho Yumikawa, with Dr. Kobayashi accompanying her, waits for the two girls to arrive. She looks to the right and spots both Misaka and Uehara. However, something is completely different. Makoto is wearing a pair of white loose slouch socks instead of the navy blue socks, and a light brown vest sweater over a white blouse and a gray skirt instead of the usual long sleeve vest with a bow tie and a navy blue checkered skirt. And Uehara is wearing a white and blue uniform instead of the all navy blue. Why are you wearing your summer uniform? Oh, apparently in Western Honshu and Eastern Kyushu, those regions are going through a heat wave. A heat wave during the winter? That's weird. Kobayashi looks to Yumikawa baffled. Did you forget about the heat wave that hit Academy City a few weeks ago? Oh god, don't remind me. And I still can't stand the fact that I was running around in a fucking swimsuit. Hey, you aren't the only one. And I tried blocking it out of my mind. Aside from that, where have you two been? Well, if this is the first time I'm going to see Godzilla in person, I might as well bring something. Alright. Miss Yumikawa, why are you coming with us? Doesn't anti-skill need you? I'm sure to find. Now then, the train is already here. It'll take us to Tokuyama. Once we're there, a UH-1 will be waiting for us. Oh my god, what's wrong now? I wish I brought some medication for flights. You're scared of heights? No, but I do get airsick when it's not stable. Don't worry, I brought a spare just in case. Uehara smiles at her friend. You're the best. Well, let's hope you don't vomit on my lap. Let's get going, ladies. In Western Kyushu, the 12th and 43rd Infantry Regiments of the 8th Division are deployed past Satsuma Sendai to the outskirts of the power plant to protect it. The regiment sits and waits with Type 96 and Type 73 APCs with 120mm mortar companies on standby. Destroyers Ashigara and Asahi are deployed from Sasebo and waits 2 miles off the plant, aiming their 8-inch guns out at sea. To the east, the 50th Infantry and the 15th Rapid Deployment Regiments, with the 14th Reconnaissance Company, of the 14th Brigade are deployed to both the Ikata power plants and Ikata itself, just in case the kaiju lands there and walks through it towards the plant from the south. The bullet train finally stops at the Tokuyama station. The few passengers on board exits, including Misaka, Uehara, Yumikawa, and Dr. Kobayashi, who rushes out of the train. They exit the station and immediately sees the UH-1J in the parking lot with its rotors already turning. That's alright! Let's move! Misaka? The pills and a cup of water. Drink it, quick. The middle scooter takes the cup and drinks it without stopping. Okay, I'm ready. The four runs towards the helicopter in the parking lot. Entering it, they sit in the seats and puts on the headset. Afternoon! You must be from Academy City. Lieutenant Yumikawa of Anti-Skill and Dr. Kobayashi. And these girls are espers. Wait, I thought the ACDF's 88th Infantry Battalion is supposed to be here. Not a bunch of schoolgirls and a mad doctor? Rude of you to assume. And I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. They are. They should be near Ikata by now. And these girls? Well, one of them is very unique. Let's hope you're right. Everyone strapped in? All four gives a simple yes to the co-pilot. Right. Up we go! The doors closes, and the UH-1 lifts up into the air. It turns south and flies away. Makoto looks out the window down at the city below, and Ueharu adjusts her camera. So how long until we get to the plant? Probably around 10 to 20 minutes. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. Honestly, we're the only chopper that doesn't have weapons attached to it. So you're lucky. Very lucky. 141, come in. Have you retrieved the volunteers? This is Chopper 141. We have them. We're on our way to Ikata, over. Yumikawa looks down at the sea below. It is all calm despite the cold temperatures it is setting. She turns her attention to Makoto. Hey, Misaka. Yeah? You seem to be more determined than usual. Why wouldn't I? It'll be my second time seeing you in person since Okinawa. Of course I'm more determined. I'm willing to see this end for good. With clear skies, the 408 squad of the 14th Reconnaissance Company stands on the 12th Prefectural Road, watching the water through binoculars near Park Type 87 ARVs. Other soldiers on the building's roof are watching the power plant. Hey, who's the idiot that didn't inform the folks inside of the plant to evacuate? The same bunch of idiots that couldn't inform the country to save their lives. Hey, focus! Besides, Sergeant Tobey is on it as we speak. At the plant, Sergeant Tobey and his colleagues of the 50th Squad is guiding workers inside of the plant outside. Most of the workers have to leave their belongings behind as a result of the rushed evacuation, but they do manage to get their keys to their individual vehicles. The sound of the rumbling, bellowing growl stops whatever they are doing, even getting into their cars. To the soldiers, it is the sign that they have been waiting for. Hundreds of thousands of birds awakens from hibernation and flees into the air. It's him. Inform command that Ikata is the target. Corporal Tetsuya Yamamura gets to the radio and puts the receiver to his ear. Command, come in. Godzilla is heading for the Ikata plant. Repeat, he is heading for the Ikata plant. Roger that. A transmission goes out to all units within the Ikata Peninsula. This is command. Godzilla is heading for the Ikata plant. Be on the lookout. In Chopper 141, 5 minutes out from the plant, the pilot hears the message. We'll be over the plant in 5 minutes. Misaka clenches her fist ever so tightly. The workers in lab coats and JSDF soldiers looks out into the ocean. One spots the three-rowed, sharp, jagged dorsal fins rising up and approaching them. The beast reaches shallow water, rises to his legs, and lifts his body out of it, revealing himself in broad daylight. The water drips from his boxy head, short, muscular neck, leaf-like gills, long arms with alligator-like hands, wide shoulders, and bear-like body. He slightly opens his lipless mouth, revealing the small, spaced, uneven teeth, and growls. He shakes his head and body, shaking the water from his moderately sized dorsal fins. He opens his small eyes, revealing the yellow-gold pupils, and looks straight up at the sun above him. The rays shines on his charcoal-black skin. Then he turns his attention back to the nuclear power plant. Every human within the surrounding area watches in awe, wonderment, fear, and uncertainty all in one. The kaiju looks down at the human staring back at him. He lightly growls. He lowers his head and inhales. Then he arches his head up, letting out a guttural roar. The sound of the roar deafens those who are outside, far away, and inside of the buildings. The systems within the plant malfunctions. Car windows and windows in buildings shatters. The soldiers standing on the prefectural road covers their ears. Holy shit! He has some lungs! Within the 9-mile radius, every animal hears the roar and becomes terrified. Those inside Chopper 141 5 miles away hears the roar despite the noise of the helicopter itself. What was that? Yumikawa, Kobayashi, Uehara, and Misaka gets up from their seats and looks ahead. From a distance, they spot the kaiju roaring into the sky. Can you land in that parking lot? Well, there is a landing pad for us, but yes, ma'am. Yumikawa digs into her pocket and pulls out 4 pairs of earplugs. Girls, put these on. It'll help you. They take them and plugs their ears. Godzilla looks back at the nuclear plant. He takes his first step forward. The ground shakes as he continues to move, making it very difficult for those still trying to flee from him. Finally, he steps foot on solid land. His elephant-like spread-toed foot breaks apart the concrete road and lifting parts of it up by his 75,000-ton weight. As he takes another step on land, breaking apart the ground, he sniffs the air and softly growls. The workers and soldiers are regaining their hearing just as they are feeling the quakes with each step the kaiju takes. Every human runs to get out of his way. Inside of the plant, the humans are still trying to shut down the reactors. However, a problem has arisen. Godzilla's roar short-circuited everything inside. The cooling system becomes unresponsive. As a result, most of the humans have to risk their lives to get it back into working condition. But the constant moving of Godzilla outside is becoming more difficult than it is. Godzilla reaches the structures, dragging his long, whip-like tail out of the water. His left foot crushes 8 cars, causing them to explode. His right foot crushes another 9. He stops and sniffs the air again. His eyes gazes upon one silo, then the other behind it. He lightly bellows and moves forward once more. Overhead, Chopper 141 finally arrives over the nuclear plant. The pilot spots the heliport 821 yards from Godzilla's position. But if they land, the view will be obstructed by trees. Tunnel turns to the open parking lot 576 yards from the heliport. The UH-1 flies over the kaiju as he begins to walk through the plant. Yumikawa, Uehara, Kobayashi, and Misaka continue to stare at him from above. Looks like your 120-meter theory turns out to be true. You know, I kind of wish I wasn't right on this. Another helicopter comes over the hills in the distance. Inside are a cameraman and reporter from the Japanese news company Nakano News Corporation. The cameraman, Tadeo Ose, holds the camera on his right shoulder. Takayuki Kagawa, the reporter, opens the door and lets his colleague film the rampaging beast live. All across Japan and Academy City, everyone is witnessing the destruction of the Ikata nuclear power plant. In Heaven Cancerous Hospital, Shirai looks on. In Tokibadai, the girls are in awe. Inside of the Prime Minister's office, the PM and his cabinet are watching with bated breath. In the windowless building, the board of directors are having the same reaction. All of the espers, outside or inside, are also witnessing the kaiju live. They hear its roar peaking the audio, distorting it a little. At the plant, walls and ceilings collapses, falling onto and crushing plant workers as they start to flee from danger. The massive foot digs through the roof, smashing inside. Godzilla rips and tears through the structure, getting to the first silo in his sights. Chopper 141, with the guidance of soldiers of the 408 squad, lands in the middle of the parking lot. The doors opens, and right away, Misaka runs out first, followed by Uehara, Yumikawa, then Dr. Kobayashi. The force stops at the guard railing and watches the kaiju from a distance. They can hear the growls even from a distance. Misaka and Yumikawa looks on in awe, while Uehara starts taking photos and Kobayashi begins taking notes. Godzilla lifts his hand and swings it, hitting and tearing into the first silo. He lifts his right hand and swings at it again. He digs into the silo with ease and no difficulty. He stops and peeks his head inside. Looking inside, he begins to sniff. He lightly growls. The smoke clears, revealing that it is completely empty. He takes his head out of the silo and sniffs the air again. He looks at the second silo far behind it. He puffs smoke from his nostrils and walks towards it. His legs and feet tears more of the plant's infrastructure, crushing more humans who are still inside. Debris is kicked into the air like empty cans. What is he looking for? The nuclear reactor. I'm guessing there wasn't one inside of the first. Or it was shut down in time. What if the second one shut down? That? I don't know. By the way, I want those photos when you're done. The level 1 nods and continues taking photos. Godzilla walks through an open area with less structures. He approaches near the second silo and immediately rips into it with his open hands. Right away, as it becomes open, steam hits his skin and into the air. It is not shut down. Godzilla bends down into the shooting steam and grabs onto something. The steam stops. It clears the way. Metal contorts, strains, and breaks. The kaiju's body lifts up, and he backs away from the silo. He turns his body to the right, revealing something in his hands. All of the plant workers become shocked. Is that the reactor? Yes, it is. The kaiju looks down at the reactor core, steaming out radiation. He opens his mouth. He inhales through his mouth. The steam in the core goes into his mouth, down his throat. Everyone close by and watching on TV watches in shock. His dorsal fins glows blue, growing brighter and brighter. On all 3 rows, the fins themselves grows a few inches bigger, becoming more sharper, with the left and right rows getting more fins. The kaiju stops. His fins flashes blue. Then the light disappears, revealing their new shape. Once again, all reactions are stunned awe. Interesting. Yumikawa looks at the doctor with concern. Are you right in the head, Doc? Oh, yes, I'm completely sane, but this is very fascinating to witness. When he absorbs radiation, his body seems to have a reaction to it. If it wasn't obvious with the plates on his back. Makoto clenches the guard. A tiny bolt sparks from her hand onto the metal. Godzilla cocks his head up. He turns in to look behind him. He has sensed something that is close by. His golden eyes looks directly at the female humans in the parking lot, then looks past them up the hill. He snarls and throws the reactor away, crashing into the building. He's moving away from the plant. Come on, let's go! The women and girls looks to Tano and nods. They rush to the helicopter and shuts the doors. Always, move out! The soldiers does what the sergeant commands. Command, the target is on the move, heading south. Should we pursue? Over? Affirmative. Pursue with caution. The APCs drives away, and Chopper 141 lifts up into the air. They now begin to follow the kaiju wherever he goes. Trees falls over. A hand smashes into the ground and concrete road. Godzilla walks on all 4s up the hill. Reaching the top, he continues to walk straight down the hill. Chopper 141 keeps a safe distance as it hovers over the massive kaiju. Despite him perfectly walking on his legs, when he walks up a hill or mountain and down, he walks on all 4s like a quadruped. Writing that one down. Okay, you're starting to creep me out. Hey, didn't you say the ACDF should be here? Yeah, they should be in the town below. Those guys are braver than us, I can tell you that. On the ground, Godzilla digs his claws into the dirt to not lose balance as he continues to walk downhill. Finally, he reaches the bottom and lifts up from his hands. He walks into the small town with his feet going through homes and businesses with ease. He looks up into the air and spots the civilian and military helicopters. He looks back down and spots the destroyer Nier and Hono, with the guided missile destroyers Maka, Fumi, and Maya behind them. His eyes squints and his suspicion increases. Hiding behind homes in the school, the 50th Infantry and 15th Rapid Deployment Regiments, with the ACDF's 34th Heavy Infantry Battalion, lies in wait for the kaiju to approach them. As Godzilla continues to walk forward, however, the ground constantly quakes. As a result, the soldiers are having difficulty maintaining balance on their feet. One soldier falls over from the corner of a house onto the open street. The quaking finally stops. Private Daiji Ito picks himself up and dusts himself off. He feels the rumbling growl in his bones. He slowly turns around, seeing Godzilla's foot in place. He looks up, only to find the kaiju staring back at him with furious intent. The private shakes uncontrollably and aims his Hawa assault rifle upwards. Private, don't do it! The man screams and rapidly fires his rifle, backing away in the process. No, don't! The giant foot smashes onto the private, knocking his squad hundreds of feet away. Crashing on the dirt, he gets to one knee. Now the hell with it! Open fire! The squad fires their assault rifles at the kaiju. Godzilla turns his attention to them. Hearing the gunfire, the other soldiers of the JSDF and ACDF have no other choice. They too open fire at the towering beast. The bullets hit Godzilla's skin at every angle. However, none of them penetrates through his skin and bounces off like tank armor. The kaiju looks around him. He spots at least over 2,000 soldiers around him. He turns to the first squad that fired at him. He slams his tail on the ground, creating an earthquake. The quake stops the soldiers around him from firing. Godzilla turns to his right, dragging his tail through the houses onto the unsuspecting squads and platoons. Their bodies flings up into the air or dragged along the ground. Those that were flung falls back down to earth, dying on impact. His attention turns to the ACDF volunteers firing M2 machine guns. The 50 caliber bullets, however, does not pierce his skin. Godzilla gets on all fours and scrapes the ground with his left hand, throwing the soldiers into the air, back down to their deaths. He smashes his right hand on the others, killing them instantly. He stands up on his legs. His arms gets hit with a rocket exploding on impact. Others around him fires their M72 laws at the kaiju. Each explodes on contact, but none penetrates his skin.
Damn, this thing is much tougher than we thought. 50 caliber, rockets, you're not even scratching him.
Misaka reaches into her pocket once more. She grabs the coin out and looks at it. She grips it tightly.
Hey, how far up are we? 750 meters above ground level.
A realization dawns on Ueharu.
Wait, don't tell me that you're...
The level 5 takes off the headset, sticks the earplugs in her ears, and opens the door. The wind rushes through, blowing back the women's hairs and nearly blowing Kobayashi's notes away.
I'll be right back. No, wait!
With no hesitation, the girl jumps out of the UH-1.
And there she goes. What the hell? Why did she do that? Guys, you're about to see why I said that particular girl is very unique. With her being an Esper, I hope you're right.
Guided missiles from the destroyers Maga, Fumi, and Maya hits its upper body and head. Hono fires his main 8-inch gun. Denier, however, is having trouble firing its gun. The weapon systems has not been repaired from yesterday's failed operation. Godzilla turns to the destroyers firing at him. He grows aggravated and annoyed. He inhales, preparing for another roar. A jolt of energy stops him in his tracks, and it's the same jolt of energy from before. He turns and looks around.
Units, hold your fire!
The soldier stops, and the destroyer stops as well. All of them becomes confused by the order, though they are noticing the confusion on Godzilla's face. The beast looks up into the sky. A single dot comes into his sights from a higher altitude. As it gets closer, he squints his eyes. The dot is the single human girl. Mikoto is diving headfirst, and her eyes are closed. Electric bolt sparks in her feet. It goes up her legs to her upper body. She stretches her right arm out with the coin in between her thumb and index finger as if she is going to flick it. The numerous bolts reaches her head, then spreads into her arm. She takes in a deep breath, then opens her eyes as the electric bolts covers her right hand. Misaka finally reaches up to Godzilla's head 100 feet away from the kaiju. The two lock eyes with each other. Hello, Mr. Godzilla. I'm Mikoto Misaka. The railgun. She flicks the coin forward, unleashing a blast of concentrated energy. The blast hits Godzilla directly in between the eyes and explodes. The kaiju shrieks in pain, backing away from the fallen Mikoto and holds his face. The soldiers on the ground cheers her.
Woo! Right between the eyes!
In Academy City, the people rejoices. Accelerator smirks.
See? Very unique. You know, had I known that Academy City sent the railgun, I would have not been so harsh towards her. I'm sure she'll forgive you.
I am not forgiving that piece of shit. Mikoto generates bolts, slowing her descent. She flips to her feet and lands on the road safely. She glances back up at the kaiju. Godzilla lifts his head and shakes it. He furiously puffs white smoke from his nostrils. She reaches into her pocket, and the soldiers around him gets ready to fire again. A bright blue light appears, accompanied by a low rumble. It gets everyone's attention. Godzilla lifts his tail upwards, revealing the blue light at the very tip. Another light appears above the first, then another. The rumble turns into a charge. Like a trail of dominoes, the light continues up his tail, entering the 3-row dorsal fins, and the charge's pitch gradually grows higher. As the light goes up to his head and the charging sound comes to a stop, he turns around and looks at Misaka dead in the eyes. She becomes shocked. The railgun that she fired did nothing. He snarls at her. Then he quickly turns and puts his attention on the soldiers around him. He takes in a deep inhale, he opens his mouth, then expels a concentrated blue fire from his mouth. The flames hiss the soldiers, sending them ablaze. He turns his head, directing the flame onto the other soldiers. The flames touches their skin and they scream in agony. He stops, then fires another further away. Everyone instantly becomes horrified and shocked all at once. As the blue fire hits more soldiers further in the town, the first that were exposed explodes within 2 seconds of contact. Every inch of the town, Godzilla hits it with his flame breath, with explosions accompanying it every 2 seconds. He stops and turns back around. Makoto ducks her head as Godzilla fires again, but the fire does not touch her, but the platoon of soldiers 38 yards to her right. He stops and the platoon perishes in the explosion. The same explosion launches Makoto off her feet several yards away. Another volley of blue fire hits more to her left. He stops and fires another towards where he came from, hitting more soldiers and buildings with explosions following suit. He inhales and fires another volley of blue flames from his mouth. The fire hits the Hono, Maya, Maga, and Fumi in quick order. Makoto picks herself up from the ground right as Godzilla stops firing and the 4 destroyers explodes. Makoto, witnessing it all, is perplexed and in awe. The survivors, those who have not fired, and the people watching throughout Japan and Academy City are having the same reaction. Godzilla looks at the near. Then he looks straight up, directly at Chopper 141. The pilot becomes frightened. Ueharu clings to Yumikawa, and Kobayashi holds on tight. Misaka becomes afraid that he will fire another fire blast. Suddenly, the light on his back fades away, and the fire in his mouth extinguishes. He looks down at the town covered in a crimson inferno, turning from blue to red. He lightly growls, inhales, then roars into the sky. Misaka, Ueharu, Yumikawa, and Kobayashi covers their ears as they, the pilots, and the sailors on the near are rendered deaf, despite having earplugs on. 18 miles away, the people as far as Yawatahama can hear the roar. The kaiju turns and walks forward, heading for the waters. Makoto staggers on her feet as she gets closer to the shore. Her hearing starts to return after 30 seconds as she watches him. Suddenly, he stops as his feet touches the beach. Godzilla bellows and turns his head and looks behind him, directly at Makoto Misaka. The level 5 steps back as the two lock eyes once more. He lifts his hand and scratches between his eyes with his claw. He sets it to the side and bellows again. He looks away and steps off of the beach into the water. Going deeper and deeper, he dives, swimming away from the town and the damage that he caused. He passes the port and the destroyer near. Then, he dives underwater, disappearing from sight. Makoto looks at her hand as her hearing returns. It didn't work. The UH-1 lands in the middle of the schoolyard. Yumikawa and Ueharu exit and rushes over to the level 5, while Kobayashi finishes taking notes. This'll be an interesting statement. Ueharu gets in front of her friend. Are you okay? She stops her sentence. She sees the frustration and fury on her face, and her hand turning into a fist. Yumikawa places her hands on Makoto's shoulders. Listen, it's over for now, okay? You did all that you could. I don't want to ruin this moment, but if we stick around here much longer, we'll be more radioactive than him. She's right. Come on, girls. Ueharu runs with Yumikawa, with Makoto following suit. All 4 returns into the UH-1. As it ascends back up into the air, Kazuri looks at her friend. Makoto's hand is twitching, and her foot taps the floor. Frustration grows within her. Frustration that she can feel and understand. Now, there's only one question that is clear within everyone's mind. What can be done to stop Godzilla?